Hey gang, welcome back. I've got a New Year's Eve gig coming up in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and my main pedal board is locked up in a storage unit in Austin. So we're going to take a few minutes and build a new pedal board together. We're going to take a look at my backup pedal board, volume pedals. We're going to pick which pedals I want to use and then talk about how we want to set those up on the board. So let's dive in. First thing, this is my backup pedal board. It is the Voodoo Labs Dingbat medium, and the thing I like about it is that it just comes all set up. It's got the isolated power supply with 8 outputs if you need it, and if you're running more than a couple pedals, you definitely want to have an isolated power supply, and so this is a great option. I think it was around $250 to just get it all in one swing. It comes with a soft case, so you know, case could be better, but as far as the board's very sturdy, very nice, as well as the power supply, one of the best in the game. And of course, we just have the wall unit. Okay, so second thing, let me grab my notes. Is what pedals we want to use. So I have a phaser. Let's see, we have 3 different delays, a reverb, and my overdrive. So these obviously get the win already because they're the only one I have of those. And if I'm only going to use one delay pedal, so the Electro Harmonics, you can use a tap tempo with it, which I like, but I don't really like the sound from it. So I'm not going to use that one. The carbon copy is great. It's just very simple, pretty easy to dial in, but it only has really one style of delay unless you consider the mod a different style. So I'm going to go with the TC Electronic. Really, if I had an entire board of TC Electronic, I would be happy. I think they sound great. Okay, so we've got reverb, delay, overdrive, phaser. So first things, we want to figure out the order, and in general we want the overdrive, distortion, whatever, to be the first thing. Preferably, if you've got the chords for it, we go straight from the guitar into the overdrive and then into the volume pedal, because if you think about it, we want to get that full signal from the guitar and then be able, so it's getting the full amount of distortion and overdrive, and then we want to be able to control the volume of that. Whereas if it's this way, right, if I've got my pedal wide open, that's fine. The overdrive is still getting the full signal, but when I back off that volume pedal, the overdrive isn't getting the full signal anymore, so the overdrive isn't working to its maximum capability. So if you can, I know it's a pain, but we go overdrive, volume pedal, and then another effect, right? Okay, so I'm not going to do that. This is just you know, one night gig. It'll be okay. So we're going to go distortion. Next thing we want to go is phaser. Again, it's kind of the same thing, that I want to phase the guitar before I start doubling it or adding reverb to it, and most likely I'm not going to use them together. I definitely don't use delay and reverb together because it just becomes super muddy. So those two, usually reverb goes last, but since I don't use them together, it could go this way. But I definitely, right, so again, thinking about pedal order, I want to double an overdriven note, not overdrive a doubled note. I hope that makes sense. That's kind of how I think about it. Okay, so we've got our order, right? And while we're talking about it, let's talk about the tuner. So I've got 2 volume pedals here. This is the Hilton, and you can see it's got an instrument in and then 2 outs. You can get them with a dedicated tuner out instead of the dual output. This is the Telonics. It has the input, dual outputs, and its own dedicated tuner output. So if you've got something like a Telonix with a tuner output, use it, right? That way we don't have to worry about where our volume pedal is when we're wanting to tune during a song. We can just leave that tuner on all the time. And that's another thing I like about the, so my backup tuner is the Strobo Plus HD, but the new one that comes in an actual pedal unit, I love because it just goes straight into my Telonix tuner output. But I don't have one of those with me right now. That's on my main pedal board. So if you have to, again, it can go in line with the pedals. It's not going to be that big a deal, especially in live sound. But if you can get it isolated into its own output, that's even better. Okay, I got my patch cables. So I'm putting the tuner first, and we're gonna try to connect that. I like these little connectors when possible because they just take up so little space. It really saves you some on the pedal board. Perfect. All right. So there you have it. We kind of talked about pedal order, and then the pedal board, isolated power supplies. If you got a tuner out, use it. And then the last thing is just connecting the power. And in general, we want to keep it as clean as possible, right? Everything running to the side, coming up through. Zip ties are your best friend. And that's the whole thing, guys. So if you're working on a pedal board, good luck to you. Have fun with it. And then also just think about, you know, the kind of thing where, do I want to distort and then double, or do I want to double and then distort that, right? That kind of determines the order. Anyway, I will see y'all soon. Bye.